yung maganda ho si Barbie, yung dalawang gwapo si Winston, Anton and Age. They are here as the lawyers of Dominion. They are the same people that I've been dealing with for the last 5 months, negotiating for the release of the source code of Dominion. And we have had a very nice discussion here for the last 5 months, since December, January, February, March, April, until we finally came in with a successful agreement between Dominion and Smartmatic. On my right side would be 2 representatives of Dominion. They are the software owners of the source code, and they are here to represent the company, and they are bringing with them the necessary instruments and documents that would establish that they have in fact agreed to give us the source code for the 2013 elections, the one that we have been working on very hard for the last 5 months. On my left side would be JT, si Attorney Tolentino. He's our PMO director. The handsome guy on the left side is actually the representative of SLI Global. This is the company that conducted the source code review of Dominion. Dominion gave the source code to SLI for its review, and SLI came in with their recommendations and their certification, an independent certification from a third-party independent certification, stating very clearly that the source code given by Dominion to them is actually no malicious software. It is proper, accurate, and secure. These are the 3 words: proper, accurate, and secure. That is the certification of the SLI after they shall have conducted the source code review. Further on our left would be Dennis Villorente. Kilala ko lang ho kasi siya as Dennis. Si Dennis Villorente is the TEC chairman, the Technical Evaluation Committee here in this country. They were the ones that conducted also the final review of the source code, going over the reports submitted by SLI. And they did in fact come out with their own certification sometime in February, attaching therewith all of the reports of SLI, and likewise acknowledging that the source code which the SLI reviewed and which they actually reviewed likewise, in addition to the holding of the mock elections and the holding of the field testing, attested to the fact that indeed the source code is proper, is secured, and is accurate. So we have here the personalities involved in the source code and in the source code review. Only last night, let me just give you a background, only yesterday we argued before the Supreme Court because of a petition filed compelling us to produce the source code and to have the source code reviewed by political parties and interested groups. We did mention to the Supreme Court and to all the justices last night that we already have the source code, the representatives of Dominion as well as SLI is here, and they have already brought the source code with them, and we are prepared to come out with the source code in the open, and that all the interested parties, those who have applied to review the source code, will now be allowed to proceed with the required review. Just a background there was also a review of the end part of the entire system, which is the CCS. The CCS source code has already been reviewed by the political parties who indicated their desire. But that is PDP Laban, PNP, and the Liberal Party, as well as the PPCRB's representative. It has already been completed. That is the end part of the source code. We are now talking of the PICOS source code, which is the front part. Now that we have it, we are likewise opening it for review to all those who have indicated their interest to review it. This is all in compliance with the requirements of the law. As I've said before, the source code review would take two parts. One would be the source code review by an independent certifier, which is the SLI. It has already been done. This has already been attested to by the TEC, which has already been completed as far back as February. The only lacking process was that it was not made available to the political parties and other interested groups, which is a requirement likewise of the law. But we have argued last night before the Supreme Court that the mandatory requirement for the source code review is on the third-party certification and the TEC further attestation. The source code review by the political parties is not a prerequisite for the holding of the elections. But it is important in the sense that it will now show that these elections will be credible even to the contending political parties and even to those who are interested groups who have asked and applied that they be allowed to review the source code. So with this as a background there now, we will now proceed today, as we promised last night with the Supreme Court, that we shall now proceed with the presentation of the source code. Technically and legally, we are still not in possession of the source code. It has not been officially handed to us yet by Dominion, and this is the first part of the ceremony today. We hope that the source code is available. Let me just indicate that again, the source code that's going to be turned over to us is the source code that was reviewed by SLI, which came from Dominion, given to SLI for its own review and an independent certification. SLI is now turning over to us, which we will put in escrow to the central bank, the source code for the 2013 elections. We want to be very, very transparent. The coverage of the source code for the 2013 elections would be those that were in the 2010 source code with some enhancements for the 2011 enhancement, but absent the enhancement that we wanted to be added on for the 2013, which therefore the source code that we're going to use for the 2013 elections would be the 2010 plus the enhancements of 2011, absent the last 8 or 9 enhancements that we were asking for, which we were not able to actually consummate and finish because of some legal issues involved, which we will not anymore discuss at this point in time. One final statement that would come. There is already an agreement between Smartmatic and Dominion. And this is the reason why Dominion has agreed to come in and give us the source code, which was reviewed by SLI. There is an agreement, but we are not going to divulge the terms and conditions of this agreement, because this agreement is personal to both source, to Smartmatic and Dominion. And there are items in the agreement which are supposed to be confidential in character. We are not going to divulge. There is a non-disclosure provision in this agreement, and everybody will have to abide by it. Because the reason for this is because there is still a pending legal dispute in the United States between the two parties, the Smartmatic and Dominion, and we do not want to affect this legal controversy still ongoing up to the present. That is the reason why we are presenting those who are involved in the source code, but we are not allowing them to make any specific disclosures except to turn over the source code to us. This was the only request that we made, and this has been granted. And let me now acknowledge to everybody that we owe so much both to the Dominion and the Smartmatic for having entered into this agreement in good faith. And the main reason for this is because they do not want that the elections in this country, the May 13, 2013 elections in this country, will have some taint of vagueness or lack of credibility. And it is because of this cooperative action of both parties, Dominion and Smartmatic, that we were able to secure the source code so as to ensure now that not only the prerequisite of a third-party certification is complied with, but even the issue of credibility is necessarily settled with the presence of the source code and its availability to all the political parties that indicated their desire to review this, all in compliance with the law, and Republic Act 9369 in particular. So with all of this, I will have to turn it over to our project director to give us the details of what's going to happen this morning.
Thank you, Chairman. Good morning, everyone. This will be a very short process. You'll know that we have a desktop over there. Okay, the only content of the laptop is a Windows operating system and the driver of the printer. So it's basically there is no other application inside. What will happen now is Mike Santos from SLI will turn over the CD containing the source code of the PICOS, which SLI reviewed, and Mike will turn over to Dominion the CD, and Dominion will now authenticate that it is the same one that it gave to SLI, after which they will install the source code into the desktop, because that is the desktop that we will use for the source code review. Then the CD will, or rather the source code will be encrypted by Dominion and then turned over to Comelec, and we will place it inside our small box, which we will then bring to the central bank. Part of the encryption process will be keying in of passwords by Dominion, SLI, and Comelec. 3 separate passwords. Now, we're going to use the keyboard, and I noticed that there is a cell phone on top, and it might have a camera, so whoever owns it, can you please remove it? Even if it's just for audio, I mean, you know, we will be keying in passwords, so, you know, it might have a camera. I'm sorry. So that would be the procedure that we will take today, and so that we can now proceed to, by the way, the source code review can be conducted immediately after this one, unless the personalities here would like to go to the central bank with us, in which case we will conduct it in the afternoon. So Mike, you can now turn over the CD to Dominion.
Kung nakapapanood po natin ngayon ay bahagi ng sinasabing short process o yung proseso para ipakita ang pagta-turnover nitong source code sa Comelec. Pero bago po yan i-turnover sa Comelec, ang source code po ay i-encrypt muna ng Dominion kung saan manggagaling itong source code bago i-turnover sa Comelec. Gaya po ng sinabi ng otoridad kanina na nagsalita, ay magiging short process lamang po ito para ipakita kung gaano kalinis, ka-credible, ka-transparent itong proseso ng pagta-turn over time, ano ba yung proseso kung bago ito ipadala sa Comelec? So, kanina rin po, sinabi ni Chairman ng Comelec na si Sixto Brillantes na talagang handa na sila to come up with a source code, although itong source code na ito ay nakatakdang i-turn over pa lamang ng SLI sa kanila ngayong araw. Ito pong source code na ito ay dalawa po yung requirements na sinasabi. Ayan po, nakikita na natin at nakatakdang magsalita na.
I am Michael Santos from SLI Global Solutions. On behalf of the Comelec and SLI Global Solutions, I'm here today to hand over the source code to the Dominion representatives for encryption on their part and the handing over to Chairman Brillantes. So on that being said, I will give this to you.
Oh, I should get in there?
All right, one more time. Okay. Good morning. One more time.
You shout, kasi you keep quiet, kasi meron sila sabi.
Good morning. I'm.
TV naman, TV. You have to do it again. You have to do it again. What you said, you say it again. And then again, for the TV thing, kawawa naman.
Okay. Ready? Okay. Good morning. I'm Michael Santos from SLI Global Solutions in Denver, Colorado. On behalf of the Comelec and SLI Global Solutions, I'm here today to hand over the source code that was written by Dominion and reviewed by SLI and certified as part of the 2013 election project. So that being said, I will hand it over to Reed Bodwell from Dominion.
On behalf of Dominion Voting, we accept the source code from SLI.
Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Napapanood po natin ang seremonyang isinasagawa po sa Comelec sa umagang ito kung saan itina-turn over na po ng SLI Global Solutions itong source code. A very contentious issue po ito, itong source code, dahil maraming question bakit hanggang sa mga oras na ito o yung mga nakalipas na araw, ilang araw na lang bago mag-eleksyon ay hindi pa rin nakikita itong laman ng source code kung saan mababasa raw po ng makina kung paano yung gagawing pagbibilang dito sa gaganaping election nga sa 2013, itong sa darating na Lunes. Ang nakikita po natin, bago po ma-turn over totally itong source code na ito sa Comelec, ang sinasabi po, ang ipinapaliwanag, kailangan mo muna yan na i-install sa desktop. At yung source code po na ito na itinurn over ng SLI Global Solutions sa Dominion ay kailangan munang i-encrypt nitong Dominion na grupo bago tuluyang i-turn over sa Comelec. May mga bagay po na kailangan na isulat yung mga password nila, kailangan pong talagang maging masusi yung, at makita yung transparency, kumbaga, para ma-assure yung kredibilidad ng naturang eleksyon. Ang sinasabi po ng Comelec kanina ay handang-handa na nga sila na maipakita ang source code na ito at ngayon nga nakikita natin ang seremonya ng pagto-turn over ng source code. Ipinaliwanag din sa atin kanina ni Comelec Chairman Sixto Brillantes na dalawang parte po itong pagre-review sa source code na ito. Una, yung pagre-review ng isang independent party which is the SLI, which is mandatory o yung required ng batas. Ito po ay naisagawa na bago itinurn over itong source code na ito. The only lacking in the process, according to Chairman Sixto Brillantes, is yung pagpapareview nitong source code na ito sa mga political parties and other parties involved. Although hindi naman daw ito prerequisite for the holding of the elections, ibig sabihin ay sa darating na eleksyon, maaaring matuloy ito kahit pa may mga kume-question at kahit hindi pa ito na re-review ng political parties, maaaring matuloy yung eleksyon. Pero ang mahalaga raw po na makita ng political parties na ito para masiguro na credible at transparent itong isasagawa nating eleksyon. But again, sinasabi po ng Comelec na it's not a prerequisite for the holding of elections. Meaning, maaaring matuloy ang eleksyon kahit pa hindi nakita o hindi na-review prior to the elections ng mga political parties and other interested parties or other parties involved itong source code. Ang isiniguro naman po ng Comelec ay kahit pa natapos na ang eleksyon ay maaari pa rin namang ipakita o ipa-review ang naturang source code na yan sa mga political parties who are interested and other parties involved or other interested parties para talagang makita nila na malinis at walang kaduda-dudang bagay dito sa source code na ito. Again, ang nakikita po natin ay ang isinasagawang encryption ng source code bago po ibigay itong source code na ito sa Comelec. Ito po ay masusing proseso, but at the same time sinasabi na it's going to be a short process to show the transparency and credibility of the elections. Sa source code po, nakadetalye at pwedeng basahin ang mga instruction para sa PCOS machine kung paano nito bibilangin ang mga boto. Itinuturing po itong isa sa security feature para matiyak ang isang malinis at credible na eleksyon. Sa Section 14 po ng Republic Act 9369 o Automated Election Systems Act, inaatasan ang Comelec na dapat i-release ang source code na ito at payagan ang mga political party na makita at ma-review ito. Pero hanggang ngayon, hindi pa po ito nare-review ng kahit na anong partido, maliban na lamang dun sa sinasabing independent party, which is the SLI. At ito po ang mas mahalaga dahil ito po yung mandatory o yung required by the law para maisagawa o matuloy yung gaganaping ang eleksyon sa Lunes. Nung isang araw lang kasi dumating sa Pilipinas ang source code mula sa Dominion Voting Systems. At sabi ni Comelec Chairman Sixto Brillantes, kung hindi po matatapos ang pagre-review nito bagong eleksyon, itutuloy na lang ang pagre-review pagkatapos ng botohan. Muli po, ang napapanood po natin ay ang seremonyang isasagawa. Nagsagawa po ang Commission on Elections ng isang press conference, 4 na araw na lang bago ang eleksyon. Ito po ay para maipakita yung seremonya ng pag-turnover ng source code sa Comelec. Ito pong source code na ito, gaya ng nabanggit natin, ay nakadetalye rito at pwedeng basahin dito ang mga instruction para sa PCOS machine kung paano nito bibilangin ang mga boto na gaganapin po sa darating na eleksyon. At short process man ito po ay napakahalaga para sa mga interested parties at nakasaad din po ito sa batas na kailangan ma-review ang laman ng source code na ito bago maganap ang eleksyon. Bagamat hindi pa po na-review o hindi pa po nakikita ng mga political parties and other interested parties involved itong source code na ito, ang mahalaga na-review na po ito ng independent party which is the SLI Global Solutions. At ito pong nakikita natin ay in-install yan sa desktop, in-encrypt ng Dominion, at ngayon ay itin-turn over na po ang naturang source code sa Comelec. Pagkatapos pong ma-turn over sa Comelec yan, ay ilalagay po yan sa BSP o sa Bangko Sentral ng Pilipinas at doon muna ito pansamantalang itatago bago maganap ang eleksyon para masiguro po ang kaligtasan o yung safety ng naturang source code. Hindi pa po malinaw kung ano nga nangyayari, pero mukhang may mga inaayos po yung technical staff ng Comelec o ng SLI o ng Dominion sa isinasagawang encryption ng naturang source code sa desktop bago po ito tuluyang ma-turn over sa Comelec. Pero ang malinaw po sa ngayon sa nakita nating seremonya na i-turn over na po itong source code na ito, may ilang mga seremonya muna o mga prosesong ginagawa para masigurong malinis at transparent po ang darating na eleksyon. Ang mahalaga po, na-review na po yan ng SLI Global Solutions at maaari na lang ituloy ang pagre-review ng iba pang mga political parties and other interested parties para pagkatapos na po ng gaganaping eleksyon. At yan po ang maiinit na balita sa oras na ito. Tutok lamang po dito sa GMA News TV para oras-oras. Alam mo, ako po si Mariz Umali. Magandang umaga po.